Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to today's class. So today's class is a Hatha 2 class. If you're new to the class, you might not be able to do some of the things. You could always watch and learn by doing that. And maybe at some point you just rest and not participate. Because it could be a shorter practice and that would benefit you just as much as doing all of the class. Time is great to do more, but might not actually be necessary. So if you haven't been to my website, it's jonwittyoga.com. We're constantly making changes and upgrades to the site. So I'm going to be doing a training in the near future. So if you're interested in learning more as a practitioner or you want to teach, I'll be offering a training most likely at the end of the summer or early fall. So what you'll need today is possibly an external weight. It could be 5 to 10 pounds. I have 2 blocks that can help you in supporting your hands. And again, if you're just learning a squat or learning how to, class is really to build your splits and your handstands. So it's not so much to go as far as you can go, but to over time build the strength to support these positions. Like a handstand can be exceptionally valuable in building up strength in the hands, rehabilitating a shoulder. It's not just a flashy position, it's actually very healthy for you, and that's why I use it so often. So how we're gonna start is you can come into a squat. Now you might not be able to squat as I am, so I'm turning my feet out initially, and with my feet turned out initially, it's a little bit easier to squat. I'm gonna move the weight into the hands and then back into the heels. So I'm just moving some of the weight into the hands. You wanna push very strong through the fingertips and then set the weight back into the heels. So I'm absorbing the weight as I come forward, and then I'm bringing the weight back into the heels. Now, if I couldn't squat or say that was more than enough, I would sit on the second level of the block, and I could, have my hands or my arms on the insides of my legs. I'm gonna do more of that. So I'm gonna come forward into my hands, and then bringing the weight back into my feet. So when I bring it forward, I'm pushing through the hands. You should feel an engagement through the shoulder into the serratus, and that's what supports the handstand. So bring it back, bring it forward. One more time, bringing it back, and then just sit in a low squat. Now in a low squat, interlace the fingers and just move the hands to move the wrists. So gentle might actually be better than progressive in warming up the wrists or adjusting the wrists. And that just takes some time to really practice, and then you'll see what's actually better for you. I wish it would just be do this and everybody will be successful with that. It's a process, so you'll have to, and you can change the direction. You'll have to learn over a course of time what's actually more valuable for yourself. So come onto your hands and your knees, and then when you're on your hands and your knees, you're just gonna have the shoulders over the hands, the wrists, and you're gonna lift the heels of your hands off the floor and then lower. So bringing the heels of the hands off the floor and then lowering, bringing them up and lowering. Say you're already tired, that's a sign that you're doing it right. You can lift and lower. If you've done these before, you know the value in them. So especially if you don't have a lot of flexibility in the wrists, these are fantastic because it'll really help you in knowing how to support your weight better with your hands. So he is at class. I'll see you later.
I'll be back at the end of the class.
Okay. We look forward to that.
Yeah.
So have the hands turned out, and you're just going to move the weight side to side, hand to hand, moving the weight back and forth. And for those of you that are, you have not a strong practice, but you have a real interest in developing more, these are good throughout the day. You could pick planks as opposed to handstands when we do handstands today. So come back into the middle. When you come back in the middle, just bring the back of your right hand to the floor, but make it into a fist. So I'm just applying a little bit of weight into the hand, and I'm stretching out and strengthening the forearm. And then bring the left hand or the right hand forward, and then make the left hand into a fist. And you'll see very well that one wrist doesn't have as much flexion to it, or actually extension. This is extension in the wrist. And then you can bring the hand back to center, and then just turn the hands, if you can, back towards the knees. So this is an external rotation in the shoulders, which is what you'll need in being in an overhead position for handstands. So just bring the weight back and notice how I'm rocking back and forward, and that'll stretch out the forearms more. And I say this from time to time, be really consistent with what you use and then change it. Try, because you might get really familiar with some techniques and they might just get really efficient and they might not benefit you as much. So I'm going to go back a little bit more, and then I'm bending the elbows, and then I'm peeling the hands back. So there's a lot more stress on the hands and the wrists. More isn't necessarily better, but I need more in my left hand, so that's why I'm bringing more weight into my left hand. So come back into the middle and turn the hands forward and pack through the shoulder, really round through the shoulder, and lift the knees up off the floor. So with the knees coming up off the floor, I'm going to hollow out through the upper body, and I'm going to let my chest depress down in between my arms, and then I'm going to push back. Right? This pushing is really what stops you from doing a number of things on your hands. So let the chest drop down, then push back up, let it come down again real slow, and then push back up, and then hold it. Just move the weight side to side. Right? And then walk the hands back towards the feet and come back into a squat again. So in a squat, I'm just going to open and close the hands. Just opening and closing the hands. Right? Just getting the hands to move a little bit more. And then just move the fingers of the right hand. Just getting the hand to move a little bit more. The fingers independently. And then do the same thing with the left hand. Right? And then what we're going to do is just rub the pads. I know this looks strange, but I'm just rubbing the pads in my fingertips. So I'm using my right hand and my left hand. So I'm just kind of getting the fingertips to be a bit more sensitive so that I can use them more. So when I really use my hands, my fingertips, my handstands are significantly easier. So I'm just kind of rubbing the fingertips with any finger. I'm just using my thumb, right? Then come back into a quadruped position. So you're just in plank. Now use the fingertips that you were just touching, and you're going to take your left hand off the floor and your right foot up off the floor, right? Then bring the left hand down, bring the right foot down, take the right hand up, and then lift up through the left hand. See where you're more stable. Bring the right hand down, left foot down. Bring the left hand up and the right foot up. Bring the left hand down, take the right hand up, bring the left foot up off the floor. Bring that down, right? Bring it up again, left hand, right foot. And then last time, bring the right hand up and the left foot up. These are good. There's other options of this that I really like. It's just good to start here. Bring the right hand back, walk back into a plank. So come forward. And then in a plank this time around, what you're going to do is push with the hands and get more hollowed in it. I'm on the tops of my feet now. So it takes a lot, not a lot more strength, but it takes more strength to support yourself in something like this as opposed to being on the toes. Not that it's bad to be on the toes, right? And then go back to tucking the toes and walk back into a squat again. So go back into a squat. Now if you're a person that does have the external weight, you can always use it. So good to squat like this. And then at some point I'll show you about, like if I was on a higher surface like a picnic table and I had my weight here, very, very good for squatting because it's going to help stretch out the back more. Here, not that it's bad, it's just you won't stretch out as much. So I'm going to walk the hands forward back into a plank. Right, take a couple deep breaths. I'm going to spin the heels to the left side and take the right arm up to the ceiling. So just an expression to the arms, opening through the chest. This really is your handstand. And know which hand really doesn't work as well. And that's usually, it hinders the experience. Bring the right hand down and then spin the heels to the right side and take the left arm up to the ceiling. This is an excellent position. To really hold it with strength and integration will make you stronger, and you'll really understand how to hold the weight from the shoulder. So fingertips is key, integrating into serratus, like these muscles. Like if you actually use your opposing hand and felt here, you could feel those muscles engaging or not, right? And it's not bad if it's not, because then you can know what to use again. So bring the left hand down and then walk forward with your feet and then walk forward with your hands and roll yourself up into a standing position. Take the arms overhead, have the hands flex, wrist flex, right? And then hollow, right? See how my tailbone is down and my pubic bone is up. When people handstand, they typically do this. I know I do from time to time. So I'm trying to get this in and then getting my glutes to hold more of a better line, and that's really good for your lower back. And then you can lower the arms down. Legs could be however you want to. I'm gonna have my feet just the width of my hips. I'm gonna take my arms forward. I'm gonna come up on the toes and slowly lower. And you can use absolutely no strength to do this. So the idea is that you're actually integrating so that it is stronger, and it'll be for the benefit of your knees, right? Bring your hands down, bring your knees forward, pull your knees back up. Just gonna do a couple of these. Bring them forward, pull them back, lift the arms forward, come up off the heels, right? Come up to the height of the knees, and bring yourself back up. You could bring the arms down. So turn so that you have more of a lateral stance. Take the feet out nice and wide. And then what you're gonna do is turn the feet out a little bit and just move the weight into either foot. So this is where you could use the external weight. So I'm just not gonna get super low initially. I'm just kind of getting your legs to warm up. And if you're a person that can't kick up, it could be a number of things, but often it's the lack of strength in the legs. You get your legs to be stronger, it's much easier to kick up, and it's obviously going to benefit you in other ways. So as it develops and say it gets easy, or say you feel a lot of pressure in the knees, it could be that the stance is too narrow. So make it a little bit wider, and then just move it into the right foot, bring it into the left, right? Bring it back up, and just kind of, if you haven't done a lot of warm up before the class, just see where you're at. It's great to go lower, but it's really not even necessary. You can go back. Think of all these variations is that you're getting stronger, and with the strength, you'll definitely get more flexible. So you can bring yourself back up. You can go to the right again. So I find with yoga practitioners, they get more and more flexible, which is beneficial, but then they're actually not gaining strength. They get more efficient, and then it kind of limits their potential, right? So I'm going into the left leg. I'm purposely not sitting lower so that your legs get stronger. Bring yourself back up. Then just bring the weight down wherever you need it to be. And then just bring the feet back in together, just a neutral stance. Take the arms overhead, flex the hands, the wrists, and just get hollowed in your position. Get really hollowed here, right? And then take the arms down. So we're gonna do a handstand at the wall. Donkey kicks might help you better than kicking up. So initially, if you're just learning it, do what is actually easier for you. The hands are about the width of the shoulders, the fingers point straight forward. The fingers don't have to be exceptionally spread out. So if you're having a hard time, see how you're doing it and maybe do it a little differently, and then that could help you. So just before you go up, round through the shoulders, round through your back. Keep that, and that'll help. If you're not really pushing through the hands, it can be dangerous. So you want your hands to support you. You could also strap the forearms so the arms don't bend too much, because the arms can collapse, and that's I've never seen it, but it can happen. So I'm going to come down on my hands. I'm going to kick up. Actually, I'm going to kick up a few times. I'm going to kick up with my right leg a few times. I'm going to kick down with my left leg just to get more and more familiar. We'll rest in between, and then we'll do a full handstand, right? So have the hands just underneath the shoulders. Push with the hands round through the back, and keep this, up has its place, but I find it easier if you keep the foot down to kick up. So keep it down, kick it up, bring it down, kick it up, bring it down, kick it up, push, bring it down, and then just rest for a couple breaths. Open and close the hands, stretch the hands out if you need to, right? Bring the hands back down again, and then you're going to kick up with the non-dominant leg. You always start with your strong leg, right? Take the left leg up, bring it down, bring it up, push through your hands, keep pushing through the hands, lift it up, bring it down, and then just come into a squat again. So recent, I've been doing more and more stuff with my left leg, even just kicking a soccer ball, and it's actually helping me quite a bit on lifting the left leg up. So, number of things you could do with your non-dominant leg to improve that leg and swinging up. It's good to get good on both sides. So we're going to go up again. This time we're going to go up. We're going to go up with just to instruct you a bit more with the donkey kick, or just more hopping up. If you have more experience, try to get the knees more into the chest rather than just going up. And if you're just coming up, go up, come down. I'm gonna do it for about 10 breaths. So push through the hands, round through the shoulders, and you might want to come up in threes. So 1, really light, 2, and 3. Go up, and then when you go up, use the wall, of course. I've said this before, it's much harder to balance in the morning than it is in the afternoon and the evening. So it's great to use the wall, keep the ribs in. And if you're a person that wants to go away from the wall, I don't really use that much because I do most of my handstands freestanding. So it's actually more difficult than an actual handstand for me, but you can do it. So when you're doing it, you're taking the weight into the heel of the hand or the front of the hand. Keep looking to the, if you're looking to the floor, look to the heels of the hands, and we're going to come down nice and slow. So keep the legs from crashing as you come down, right? And then come into a standing forward bend, and then just take the hands to the left side and to the right, to the left, and then bring the left hand underneath the left foot, get the toes up to the wrist, and then just pull back a little bit with your left arm and rotate the form out just a little bit. And you should feel some great traction in the wrist. Bring more weight into the hand if you need it. Take the left hand out and then bring the right hand underneath the foot, and then pull back and rotate through the shoulder. All right, get some good weight here into the hand. And I say this all the time, you might need more in one hand. Like if I was doing this more, I'd definitely be doing more on my left side. Right. Separate the feet just a little wider than the shoulders and come into a squat. Now on a squat, take the arms wide here and just let the head drop down, and take the left arm behind the head and just let the shoulder round, right? So that you're stretching out your back. Then elevate through the chin, elevate through the chest. Bring the left elbow down. Take it up. Bring it down. Take it back up. And you could take it up towards the ceiling if you wanted to. You could hold a leg, the hand could be out. A lot of different ways you could do it. Now, when the arm is up, I'm rotating the shoulder out. You could bring the arm down. Now, have the left shoulder or elbow on the inside of the knee and drop your right elbow to the floor. Just get really heavy and then turn through the chest. Push out with the left arm. Say your legs are just not having it. Again, sit on a block. Bring the right elbow down. Take it up. Bring it down again. Take it back up. Bring it down. And then back up. Lean back with your head. Keep the hand here or take the right arm up to the ceiling and then just move through the shoulder. Could be in, could be out. Neither is wrong. Both are good for the shoulder. And then take the arm back down again. So walk back into a plank. Push through the hands. Rotate the shoulders out. And then just come down on the knees. And try to rotate the eyes of the elbows forward. Think of way up at the top of the arm you're doing that. And that'll help with the overhead positions. Right, go back up into a plank and then walk forward. Actually, come down on the knees and we're going to use the blocks a little bit with some transitions. So it'll help with getting you a bit stronger. So I'm going to be in an all four position or setting up my blocks. I like the second level, but if you find they're unstable, go to the lowest level. Highest level, probably not good for this. So I'm gripping the blocks just as if I'm handstanding, and then I'm going to go up into a down dog. So I'm going to push back, and then I'm going to take my left leg up to the ceiling, and I'm going to pull the knee into the chest, and then open from the hip, right? And then bring the knee into the chest again, or the nose, and then move it out in space. A big, big rotation. Bring it back in again, and then take it out. All the way out. Find a weak area in your hip, and then continue to lift and round through that, and then bring it down. Pull the right leg into the or take the right leg up to the ceiling, and bring the knee and nose together. Take it out to the right. Big, big circle. Bring it in. Take it out. Bring it back in. And then big rotation. Keep pushing through the hands to help with the hips. And then bring it down. Now walk back into a squat. So come back. Armpits to knees are good. Just 3 breaths. Open and close the hands if you need it. All right, and then what you'll do is, you could obviously have the blocks wherever you need to, but we're not going to use them. I'm going to use that external weight one more time to squat. Just for a little bit, and then we're going to go back into the Cossack. So just move the weight around. So moving it from foot to foot. Move it side to side. Right, and then what you'll do is I'm going to use the weight to roll up. So I'm organizing my feet slightly forward. Can be out too, right? But I'm going to let the chin tuck into the chest and then lift from the hips and slowly roll myself up until I come up to standing. Now with the weight, this is good for a couple different things, but if you do have a weight, could be even a yoga block or a book, is take the weight up overhead and side bend to the left. Just a basic side bend. Push through the feet. Take it back up, side bend to the right. Ribs are in, feet are strong. Bring it back up, bring the weight down, and take the feet out nice and wide. So with the feet out wide, turn the feet out and move into your right side. Not, again, exceptionally low. Bring yourself up, go into the left foot. Bring it back up, go into the right, maybe a little bit lower. As you get lower, you'll most likely need to elevate the back foot up, and then there'll be more of a focus on the hamstring. Still abductor, right? Push through the right foot, lean into the left side, elevate the toes up. Continue to widen through the thighs. See which, again, hip is more of a struggle. I'm more flexible in some ways on one side than the other. So push through the left foot, come back into the right, go to the level of your knee and hold it, and then slowly sit down, but find again angles that you're weak in. Like I'm weaker in this angle than all the way down. Right, so that's why I'm holding it more. Now I'm gonna sit down. When you come up, especially if you don't have any problems with your knees, is drive really strong through the right leg and bring yourself up. So sit somewhat to the height of the hips, right? Wide thighs. You can sit down low, however low you want to. Couple deep breaths. Just before you push, whether you're coming up really slow or if you're coming up more dynamically, is get the push. Feel the foot, feel the leg, then drive through the foot, bring yourself up. We're just gonna go down, not as slow. Back up to the left, back up to the right, back up to the left, bring it back up, and then just come back into the center. So when you come back into the center, bring the feet back into just a neutral stance. Take the arms overhead, flex the wrists, round through the spine, round through the back, keep the ribs in. Couple deep breaths here. And then you can take the arms back down. So just come down onto all fours. I'm mixing in a little bit more wrist work today. Hopefully you need it. If you don't, right, you could just do more handstand work, right? But just take the hands to turn out. Move the weight side to side. Bring it back into the middle. Bring the right hand back into the floor. Bring the left hand back into the floor. Bring it back towards the knees. And again, just build up an awareness of what actually may help you more. Bring it forward. Turn it out. Side to side. Right? And then just come back to neutral, and just an easy scapular push-up is let the chest drop down, push through the hands, round through the back, let the chest move down, press it back up, let it drop down, and then bring it back up, right, so round. So we'll kind of do a similar sequence of kicking up. It's good for conditioning, and then we'll do another static hold, maybe a little bit different. Like if you take a photo of yourself, you should eventually see that your shoulder's in line with your wrist. And if you can't do that or you can't hold it, it's most likely that you're lacking the flexibility in the shoulder. It's easy to correct, it's just you have to work at it. So come forward to the wall with the feet, with the hands, and push through the hands and round through the shoulders. And we're gonna take the hips up, again, a kind of a short down dog is how I look at it. Connect into the fingertips, swing up, push, come down. Bring the shoulders over the hands before you kick up. Kick up. So much easier to come up, bring it down. Something that I sometimes forget about, and that's why it's hard to balance. Bring the shoulders over the hands or wrists. We're gonna swing the left leg up. Bring it up. Bring it down. Connect into the belly, the ribs. Shoulders over the hands or wrists. Swing it up. And then bring the left leg down. And bring your feet down. Come back down into a squat. Open and close the hands. And again, it's just, if you're just learning, just getting more and more familiar with it, it won't be so scary, and you'll eventually get up. And it's okay if you're not getting up. It's really, for some people, it's quite a bit of a process. So I would say keep at it if it's just difficult. But if it's, something that's obviously giving you some pain, physical pain, then maybe it's better to put off to the side and pick it up at a later time. So I'm gonna kick up again, more like a donkey kick. So again, if you can keep the knees into the chest and come up, that's obviously gonna build up more strength. For those of you that are coming up and down, slow, right? but work on getting stronger. The descents are really what's going to help make you stronger. It's kind of like a negative push-up, right? So push through the hands. As you push through the hands, round through the shoulders, and think that your hips are going to touch the wall, not your back, if that's what's coming up. And it's a light tap, right? You don't want to crash into the wall. So move it. And you're probably not going to be over. You could start like this and then go up. And then up. Now if you're up and you're working the straight line, fantastic. I like looking to the wall so that I'm not straining my neck. I'm trying to keep my ribs in. Now if I bring the weight into the heel of my hand, you'll notice the shoulder is not so much over the wrist. And that's a really good way to hold for time, because it's not so difficult on the wrist. So take 3 deep breaths. Just hard to do because I was too close to the wall. Keep the ribs in. Bring your right leg into your chest. And then back down, come back into a squat. So in a squat, you can open and close the hands. Take a few deep breaths. And then step the left foot back into a long runner's lunge. So the left foot is back. And bring the left knee down on the floor. And just bring the hands or the elbows down into the floor. And take the right hand behind the head. And turn through the chest. So left forearm is down on the floor. You're turning your upper body towards the right side. Just more for your the mobility of your shoulders and your upper back. Bring the right elbow down, take it up, keep the hand behind the head, or take the right arm up. I'm just rotating the arm in and out just to help with getting your shoulders to be more mobile. Could be static, right? Bring the right hand down, bring the right hand on the outside of the right foot, and sit the hips back in space. So as the hips sit back, point through the foot, flex the foot, point it, and flex it. Now come up, and when you come up, just a bit of balance, right? Is I'm gonna come forward without my hands so that I'm more in my hamstring. My hands are down, still about your hamstrings, right? But not as much. Then when you bring the hands down, take the left hand on the outside of the left ankle. Now think that you're picking your leg up towards your face. So as you pick it up, you'll get more into your back. Take 3 deep breaths here. Breathe in, breathe out. Come back into a lunge. Take the back knee up off the floor. Right. Come up into a high lunge. Tailbones down, ribs are in. Think you're in your handstand. Bring your hands down, step your left foot forward. Step your right foot back. Right foot is back, and then make it nice and long. Come down onto the elbows, come down on the forearms. Left foot could turn out, right? Take the left hand behind the head and turn through the upper body, turn through the chest. Bring the left elbow down. Take it up, lean back, broad shoulders, broad upper back. Bring the left elbow down and then take it back up. So I'm pushing through my right forearm. I'm pushing through my right foot. I'm turning as much as I need to. So that's the, what people kind of lack the attention is that they may actually be doing more harm than good. So it's not bad to go further, right? But if it's really harming you, obviously that's not a good thing. Bring the left arm up to the ceiling. Rotate the thumb back. Rotate it forward. Turn it out. If your objective in your yoga is to get stronger, in my opinion, you're going to be healthier in the long run. You could bring the left hand down. Bring the hips back in space. Pull back. So lift the leg up. So pull it up to the face. You could point through the toes. You could pull it back. Now I'm going to come up just in terms of balance. And then also kind of seeing how much flexibility you actually have without using your hands. Not that it's better that you're lower, but I think people kind of don't necessarily know or measure how much they have without really pulling with their arms. And then bring the hands down, and then take the right hand on the outside of the left leg and continue to lift up. Like you could hold the foot and think that you're lifting from your left hip, the front, your left hip flexor. And then that'll help you with forward bending, right? Come forward into the low lunge. Take the back knee up off the floor. Lift yourself up. You can make your hands into fists. Again, I'm still thinking about my handstand because some of it is just correcting, not all of it, but some of why you might not be able to balance is correcting your pelvis. So bring your hands down and step your right foot forward. So just be in a soft forward bend. So just bring the weight into the hands, bring it into the heels, bring it forward, and bring it back. Now, walk back into a plank. Let the chest drop down in between the arms. Then push through the hands, round through the back. Push through the hands, round through the spine. Push back up, get hollow. And then walk back into, or go back into a down dog. And then just practice walking back to your feet. See how the weight transfers? This will help you in walking up the wall with your feet in your handstands. So just kind of come forward into plank. Again, use your fingertips. Walk back. Rock. As much as you need to, right? And then back. And then as you get this, it's much easier to come forward because the weight's not so much in the hands. As it gets to here, of course the weight is in the hands, but much easier to walk forward. And then come down on the knees and just have the hands underneath the shoulders so that my hands are in fists. Now I'm going to roll forward and then I'm going to roll back. Just a little bit of wrist work again. Forward and back. What I learned is, if I do too much wrist work before a handstand, actually tires my hands out where it kind of makes it more difficult to balance. So there's some days that I'll just mix in a little bit as I do it, depending on what type of practice I'm doing. So come back to where the hands are flat, and then you're going to take the knees up off the floor. Now again, take the left hand off the floor, the right knee up off the floor. Bring it down, take it up. Keep the shoulder over the hand, the wrist. Keep the shoulders over the hands, take the left hand off the floor, the right knee up. Switch sides one more time. Bring it down. Left hand up, right foot up. Shoulder over the hand, the wrist. Go back up into a down dog. So in a down dog, press back with the hips, push down through the hands, rotate the shoulders out as much as you need to, right? It's not a ton for down dog unless you have more of a forward shoulder type of situation. So I'm going to walk it in closer, and then I'm going to reach for my left thigh. I'm going to reach for my left shin. I'm going to bend the knees and try to reach for the left foot with my right hand, and then lift the hips up. So bring the weight into the right foot, the right heel. Push through the left hand and turn the upper body towards the left arm. Take 3 deep breaths. Bring the right hand back where it was. Walk back into a squat. Right, take a couple deep breaths. Open and close the hands if you need it. Stretch out the wrists more if you need it. Just again, if you're a person that does more wrist work and you find that it's irritating the wrist, then you would need less. If you find that it's helping you more, doesn't mean that you need a ton more, but you want to be more consistent with it, right? Bring the hands down. Walk back into a down dog, or walk forward into a down dog. Pull the hips back. Then reach with the left hand for the left thigh. Bring it back. Reach for the calf muscle. Now you could try to reach with your legs straight. You could bend the knees. Much more easier to grab the heel. And then gradually lift the hips up. Turn the heels out. And think it's the index finger that's really trying to keep you up here. Not that it has to be crushing into the floor, but it's down. You want the weight in the front of the hand as opposed to just the heel of the hand. Take a couple deep breaths here. Use again the strength of the abdomen, the muscles around the ribs to twist you. And then bring the left hand back and then walk the feet in. Actually walk the feet back or walk the hands back towards the feet and then come back into a squat with the external weight. So again, if I'm wanting to sit up higher, I can sit up higher, but with the weight, if you can, dumbbell, kettlebell, big stack of books or blankets, or not blankets so much, but whatever is going to give you weight, is try to get the forearms more to the mat. It's kind of like what we did in this lunge. And then that'll be really, really great for your back and exposing your back more. It's healthy to round your back, right? It's healthy to extend. Know that twisting more will help you more. So we're going to do one more handstand, and that's going to be walking to the wall. So you're going to be, butt's going to be to the wall. You're going to walk up. Maybe don't walk up all the way, right? Don't go, you always want to be able to come out of the pose. Don't ever go up and be like, I can't get out, because that's when you could really hurt yourself. So just bring the hands down. As you bring the hands down, you're going to take one leg up. I typically take my right leg up. I'm taking my left leg up today. So I'm going to walk back far enough where I can support my hands. Then I'm going to lift my right leg up to the wall. And maybe this is your pose right here, but I'm going to transfer the weight into my right hand, then move my left hand back, then move it into my left hand, then move my right hand back. Same thing, I'm just rocking back, and I don't have to get all the way to the wall. That has its purpose, but I'm keeping my toes to the wall and possibly my nose or my face, and I'm pushing. And in terms of alignment, this is better than kicking up, in my opinion. Not that it's bad to kick up. Obviously kicking up is great because it gives you the experience of going up, but just see how the weight is. Because I have most of my weight in my right hand, and it'll eventually be my right hand that tires out. I move the weight around, I can hold it longer. Keep the ribs in for 3, if you can, 2, and then 1. Just bring the weight again into the left hand, move the weight forward to the right, move it back, keep walking. Really fight coming out in terms of just crashing. And you'll get stronger from that. So you don't need a lot of, that's why I'm keeping this class very simple. You don't need a lot of techniques to go further. It's just, you gotta be really consistent and obviously practicing them. So in a low squat, have the armpits and the knees together if you can. Interlace the fingers, right? So moving the hands, moving the wrists. And the last couple weeks or few weeks I've been focusing more on side splits. Today we're going to focus more, we're going to do a bit of Hanumanasana, and that's front splits. Again, these are safe poses if you have strength and if you have support. So I don't have a chair, but I'm going to use my yoga blocks as a support. It's just really, think of like the longest warrior one or the longest lunge that you have and keeping it. And it's so good for the back hip. Like your back hip is going to get so much stress and leverage. It's kind of like doing couch pose up against the wall, but it's more active, and that's partially why I like it. And when it's summer, which is soon to be summer, it's nice out. These are great things to do in sneakers because it's much easier on your feet. It's actually, I think it's more difficult to do barefoot. So it's great in, whatever pair of shoes you like to walk in or run in. So come into, have a chair next to you. So I'm gonna have my blocks next to me. And this is not the most stable way to do it. So if you're a little suspect of this, don't use the blocks like this. But I'm just using this more for balance. I want the weight in my legs. So just have your right foot or left foot, doesn't matter, but you want to be able to reach for the block, right? So I'm going to step my left foot back into a lunge, and I'm going to come high up into my lunge, and I'm going to move my tailbone down. I'm going to keep my ribs in, and then I'm going to bring my right hand into my block. Now you could move either the front foot more forward or the back foot. It does not matter. It's just if you have, say, a history of hamstrings injuries, move the back leg back. You have a history of some sort of hip flexor, too much stress in the hip flexor, right? Well then, move the hamstring forward or the foot forward. Now when you get into this long lunge, drive the foot down. Again, we're barefoot. It's really hard on the calcaneus, the heel. So that's not, again, this isn't my, like, I'm just showing you this so that you can do it in shoes, right? Then as I do this, I could do it with very little weight in my hands. Now I'm not doing this to show off, I'm doing it so that you can get stronger in the pose. So I'm gonna bring these blocks here just because I want to be a bit more stable. So 2 chairs are really great. You know, a piece of furniture. Like I have a sofa and a coffee table, and I can slide right in the middle. Park bench, right? You get the idea. So step back so that you're back into the lunge again, right? And then step forward with the left foot, right? Actually step with your blocks. If you're using blocks, walk over to the other side, just so that you can see from the hip and that it's on the same side. But let's say you're like, I want my block on the inside. It could be there. You know, it doesn't have to be on the outside. I've done this before with a kettlebell. Like if I'm pressing a weight, I'd have it in my right hand. And that's really to leverage the back hip. So make it nice and long. As you're getting longer, and you get lower, that's when you may want to change the props that you have. So I'm just here, and again, the beauty of not getting as low as you can go, it might actually give you a better response. Like you'll actually create good strength from it, right? Because if I'm as low as I am, I'm probably not really that strong or stable. But if I'm here, I'm really active, and I'm also getting more than enough leverage in my hip so that when I want to do the photo or whatever, right? Or the calendar shot, right? You can get that. But again, if you're hypermobile, I would be more here. More of my work would be here. So bring yourself back up, step it in, and then step the right foot next to the left. And you could be just in a soft forward bend, you can hang forward. Now bring the feet closer together and step the left foot over the right foot. So now this is for hamstrings. It's for hips too, outside of the hips. So being down, and then you could be pulling with your arms. I prefer not to in this, just because I just like being passive at times too. Bring the weight into the hands, bring the left foot next to the right, cross the right foot over the left. And then with the right foot over the left, you're forward, you're down, right? Take 3 deep breaths. Right, and then bring the weight into the hands, and then bring the feet back into more like a squat again. You know, you can hold blocks to squat. And then sit back so that when you sit back, have the hands underneath the shoulders, have the hands turned out. So I'm just going to do the L sit eventually at the wall, or the V sit. I did it last week, just so that you get a little bit more time and practice into that. And that's a good pose, especially if you're wanting more strength and flexibility. So take the hips up and just move the weight side to side, move the weight forward. move it back, move it forward in space, move it back, move it forward. And then if, just get a sense of what it's like in the shoulders. And if you can, sit the hips towards the feet. Bring your legs forward. Take 3, 5 breaths. And if you're a person that's not doing the V-sit, focus more on this. Again, it should not hurt your elbow at all. If it does, just back off a little bit. Just decrease the load in your shoulders, and that'll help you. Take one more deep breath here, right? And then bring the feet back, and then bring the hips back. So just gonna do some leg lifts. So you could do one leg at a time. I'm gonna take my hands here. I'm gonna lift one leg up. I'm gonna lift it up. I'm gonna lift it up. The closer the hands are forward, the more difficult it is. So if it's really difficult for you, have your hands back more. Like when we do Navasana, that's a great pose, but this is actually a little bit more difficult. Now take the hands forward however far you can. Take the legs up, bring them down, take them up, bring them down, bring them up, bring them down. 2 more times up, down, last time up, and then bring it down. Now, again, set yourself up so you're stretching out your shoulders if you're not doing the V-sit. The V-sit, kind of like the handstand, is that get familiar with doing it rather than just cramming yourself into it and hoping that it works, because it may not, right? So I'm gonna sit back here. So my hands are beside my hips. And just take a couple breaths, because again, if you've ever done this before, it can be a bit daunting. So legs could be wide, especially if you lack flexibility. And I'm gonna bring my hips in a little bit closer. I'm gonna bring my hands in a little bit closer, my hips, and then my hand. And then when I get close enough to the wall, maybe I can get my legs a little bit more straight. Hands are in, and then I'm gonna take my legs up, and then my hips up. So I'm pushing my hands into the floor, I'm lifting my legs up. So this is obviously more difficult keeping it up. So if you don't have the strength, come down when you need to. So I'm just gonna bring it down just to give you a bit of a break, and then come up again. Depending how sticky your wall is, or if you're in socks, this works really well with socks. Like this is a plastered wall. If you had a hard door, like hardwood where it's polished, that could help you coming up and down. So push through the hands. When you're up, you're really trying to get the legs closer to the face, just like we did in that leg lift. And I'm really just stalling, so you spend more time in it. And then you can bring your hips down, and then when you bring your hips down, you can sit your hips back, and then just come back into just a cross-legged position. So just cross your ankles, interlace your fingers, move your hands, move your wrists. Right? That can be a bit heavy in the hands. So know that any arm balance, your hands can turn out, and that includes handstands. So if you're really having trouble with your hands, especially if you're a daily practitioner, know that you can turn your hands out, give your wrists breaks, and then just make the right hand into a fist, pull the hand back, and then make the hand into a fist, pull it back. A couple deep breaths, and then you can bring the arms down. So lie back on your back, just a corrective exercise. Most people have anterior tilts in their hips when they handstand. This is really good for that. So take the legs over your hips. Legs are at a 90-degree angle. Take the arms over the shoulders. When the knees are over the hips, you should feel that your lower back is more to the floor. Some people, it may not, and that's okay. So take the right arm overhead and take the left leg forward. Keep the ribs in. So you want to keep this in, and it's muscle memory for your handstands. Bring your hands over your shoulders, your knees over your hips. Take your left arm overhead. Bring your right leg forward. Keep the belly and the ribs in. Bring it back up. Bring the right arm overhead, the left leg forward. Head stays down. Say you're like, oh, this is so easy. You're not integrating enough. So you want to get stronger through the belly. Bring the hands over the shoulders and knees over the hips. Take the right arm overhead, or left arm overhead, right leg forward. Again, it's very easy to just kind of hang out. You don't want to be there, right? Not good for your back. Bring your knees over your hips, bring your arms down. Have your feet underneath your knees. Hold the sides of your mat. Lift your hips up off the floor. Retract the shoulders, elevate the hips. I'm just going to give you a bit of a relaxation. So bring the hips down, have the knees wide. Push the hands into the thighs. Resist that. Push more with your left hand. Feel what that's like. Push more with your right hand. And then just kind of see where you actually need more leverage. Take 3 deep breaths. Keep your legs like you have them, or be in any restorative position that you prefer. And then you could have the legs, forward. One leg could be forward, one leg could be bent. Legs could be elevated. Arms could be on you or beside you. And if you're a person that has more time today, of course, take more time on your back, right? You deserve it. And if you're a person that needs to be somewhere and you need to get going, you can bring awareness into your hands, your feet. You could swallow a couple times, stretch out more if you need it. Bring yourself back up if you are coming up, and sit nice and tall and upright. And as you're sitting, palms could face up. Palms could be together if you're already there, but just it's easy not to practice, and it's so beneficial too. So I'm glad that you did today. You can have the palms together if you like. It's just a gesture of thanks. I had a great time today. I hope you enjoyed the class. Let me know how it's going. Let me know if you need any more help in terms of injuries. And hopefully I'll see you over the weekend. I have a class tomorrow at 9 on the live platforms, and then I have a class Sunday, and that's at Zoom, 10 to 11. You can register on my website, jonwittyoga.com. Namaste.